Welcome to Government Contracting Weekly, sponsored by AOC Key Solutions Incorporated. Government Contracting Weekly is the only television program devoted exclusively to the competitive and dynamic world of government contracting. A world where coming in second place is not an option, but where principle-centered winning is the only approach.
Good morning and welcome to Government Contracting Weekly. I'm Hilary Fordwich and would like to start today's program with a focus on the incredible service provided by our armed forces, and in particular, the special exhibition right here in Washington, D.C. on Pennsylvania Avenue, where the wonderful Navy Memorial is saluting the Year of the Military Women. In a minute, we'll introduce you to 4 women who have all led long and distinguished military careers of leadership as we explore the dramatic advancements of servicewomen over the years. Speaking of leadership, later in the program, you'll meet Dan Shyti, himself a former military officer who now consults with government contractors on the power of effective leadership. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right to it. One of the many treasures that we have in Washington, D.C. is the magnificent and inspiring Navy Memorial on Pennsylvania Avenue, where they're now celebrating the Year of Military Women. This morning, I'll be talking with 4 such military women who have all distinguished themselves as leaders of the First Order. Joining me this morning is Brigadier General Wilma Vaught, Vice Admiral Sally Brice-O'Hara, Rear Admiral Deborah Loewer, and Lieutenant General Carol Mutter. Ladies, welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. In a few minutes, we will be discussing the significance of the Year of Military Women. But first, I had the opportunity to speak with Admiral John Todacek about the Navy Memorial, and I'd like to share that with you all now. I'm delighted to have with me this morning Admiral John Todacek. Good morning, Admiral.
Good morning, Hilary.
Delighted to have you with us, particularly to talk about the Navy Memorial. Tell our audience about where it is, and what you're doing this year particularly.
Well, thank you very much. The Navy Memorial is a national treasure. We're on Pennsylvania Avenue, halfway between the White House and the Congress.
You've probably seen those beautiful flags fluttering there.
Absolutely. Yes. And what we do there is honor the men and women of the military. This year in particular, we're honoring the military women. So we're going to do that through a number of different events, including a golf tournament. Which is sold out, so no one unfortunately will be able to play. Exactly. We're going to have a panel with some of our co-chairs, 2 admirals and a general. And that'll
From
be on
different services.
Right, and that'll be on your show. So we're basically honoring all women who have served and have been kind of underappreciated over the history of our country.
Well, I think that's really wonderful. And also your funding, you're primarily funded privately, extensively.
We are indeed. 95% of our funding comes from private donations and from sponsors such as your defense contractors, I might add.
Yes, our viewers, many of our viewers.
Exactly. So it's very important that we have the public involved, and we'd like all the public to come and visit us at 701 Pennsylvania Avenue and see our facility there and take part in the honoring of these women.
Whether or not they've served in the Navy or not.
Absolutely.
Yes, well, thank you very much for coming on this morning, Admiral. And for our viewers, the Admiral mentioned that the funding is 95% from the private sector. If you'd like to contribute, you can see how to do so via the website on your screen at the moment. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
If you haven't had an opportunity already to visit the Navy Memorial, I hope Admiral Todacek's words have inspired you to do so. Still, if you need any more convincing, take a look at this brief, inspiring video.
For more than 25 years, the United States Navy Memorial Foundation has honored sea service warriors past and present. Located in our nation's capital, the memorial has inspired future service in the Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marines. In addition to the Memorial Plaza featuring the Lone Sailor statue, granite sea, and fountains, visitors can tour the Naval Heritage Center to see exhibits about our sea services. Browse commemorative plaques honoring ships, squadrons, and individuals, view films and presentations in a large screen theater, and search the Navy Log, the permanent registry of the sea services. It remains a living memorial through ceremonies, concerts, book events, and other activities throughout the year. Your support of the nonprofit United States Navy Memorial Foundation is key to our continuing efforts to honor the sea services and remind the public of the service and sacrifices made by those standing watch to guard our nation.
Ladies, so much has changed and evolved in terms of the military over the last few years. Certainly women are being acknowledged more than ever. The Navy Memorial this year, obviously honoring women in the military, is very special. What are some of your views in terms of women in the military and how far women have come? Wilma, over to you.
We've come so far, it's hard to believe. The interesting aspect about women in the military is that we're in the military by law.
Now, yes.
Always. It's always been the way.
Really?
Legally, the Army Nurse Corps was created, followed by the Navy Nurse Corps, and then later, after World War II, then non-nurses were taken in officially to be in the military, not just on a temporary basis, but to be in the military. So that makes us a little bit different than anybody else anywhere.
That is really interesting. I didn't realize. I think most Americans would always think about sort of the Rosie the Riveter image of the Second World War, being at home and helping, but not really so much on the front lines. What do you see in terms of that? What would you say, Carol?
Well, certainly things have changed, and I was commissioned in 1967, and the role evolved, not just in the last few years, certainly a lot in the last few years, but it evolved over my entire career. So I was always seeing new roles for women opening up and new opportunities. It was terrific, and now the women are playing a terrific role in doing frontline missions where they're really needed, and only they can do some of these roles as far as searching women at roadblocks, that type of thing. So they're a very necessary part of what's going on today.
And it's changed in terms of the image. I mean, we can all cringe when we think of years ago some of the comments that politicians made about women should not be in the dugout, and they shouldn't be on the front lines, but they're very much so now.
Well, I think it's important that we look at what inspires men and women to come into the military, and you find that it's very similar. It's a degree of patriotism, it's love of the nation, and women in particular have proven that not only do they have those sentiments and want to step forward and serve, but when they are called upon, they do the job very, very well. I think many realize that they have to work hard to prove themselves so that there is no doubt that they're capable, that they are expert, that they're professional. And we see that play itself out through history, but particularly now with the intensity with which we're using the military.
Yeah, thank you, Sally. And do you see the same thing? What would you say, Deborah? Was there anything that you've seen, particularly through your career, and you can say, well, that's really changed, some sort of like stakes in the ground. It's so different now.
Absolutely, a tremendous question. When I was commissioned in the United States Navy, I was one of the first women to go to sea, in the vanguard of women that proceeded to sea in 1978. We were the first 8 women to serve truly at sea based upon the current regulations that were in play at the time. Today, women surface warfare officers number in 8,700 women in the Navy today. So we've really gone from 8 to 8,700. So it's been a tremendous achievement in the technical area of surface warfare. But I want to harken back to something that Sally mentioned. Historically, women have served for years and years and years throughout the military services. Women first served on a hospital ship in 1862.
And that's when Wilma said that, the women were mandatory by law to be in the military. Most people wouldn't even know that.
Right,
yeah.
And so when you look back to women in military service, it goes way back to the Revolutionary War and to the Civil War day, where, as I said, women served on a hospital ship in 1862. There's another woman, very unknown. She commanded a unit in combat during the Vietnam War. So that was 1967. So women have done some very extraordinary things throughout the military services, throughout our history.
But just not acknowledged.
But not acknowledged.
Yes.
And that's why the Year of the Military Woman is so important to all
this
of us.
year, particularly at the Navy Memorial. It's really
Absolutely.
wonderful, yeah, and great to see.
There are no barriers. Women can serve in every role, every responsibility. In my service, the Coast Guard, and it is something that is often not fully understood by the American public. So this celebration across the entire year allows us to do several different types of events and activities to illuminate for others what women can do, how they contribute to vital outcomes, to secure our nation, to ensure that there's democracy. And then more importantly, we get to showcase what women have accomplished.
Yeah.
And women never want to be in the spotlight for just being in the spotlight, but it's
No,
a
for
nice
a real
way.
reason, for something concrete. Yeah, that has
Absolutely.
really been achieved. Yeah, I think all women would reiterate that.
You know,
Wilma.
when you look at this whole thing historically, you can consider World War II as when women in a large number proved that they could do jobs that were essential to the military. And of course, that's what caused us to be given that opportunity to serve times other than war. And I think right now, with the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, where women have come forth in the combat arena, we're now in the second big historic thing, and that is the role of women in combat, because they have proven that there are many jobs in combat that they can do and do well.
Yeah, just not acknowledged enough, and this is an opportunity for us all to do that. Yes, Deborah.
And I see that exactly what you said, Wilma, is that we've taken incremental steps over the years, but since 2003, women have really, and the role of women in the combat theater has changed to an extreme degree. And the line of where are the front lines was completely blurred in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we've seen, again, tremendous strides in the women's service, in all the military services.
And if you think about the trajectory of where it's going to go, due to the use of technology and less sort of like one-on-one, man-on-man combat, that should even increase dramatically and exponentially so.
Right, and when you look at 30 years ago, when women came into the military services, in some ways women were segregated to the more managerial administrative roles, but today, at least in the United States Navy, women serve in 53% of those technical fields. We find women serving in very high positions of authority and leadership. So we've come a long way.
Baby,
really, it's
yes.
really an understatement, because women serve in these high technology areas, and we focus now on the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics areas.
In the STEM focuses.
In all the STEM areas.
Yes.
And again, you'll find that women in the United States Navy are in cryptology, intelligence, we're in special operations, we're in
Submarines.
Submarines.
Actually,
And actually during the Second World War, there were a lot of spies. Julia Childs actually
Julia
was
Childs,
a spy, and that only ever came
absolutely.
out years later. Yeah.
But I'm so glad that you led the way for me, Wilma, in this. So we're very, very proud that we have women commanding surface ships, we have women commanding aviation squadrons, we have women nuclear engineers who have served in the nuclear field for years, but now we have women on nuclear submarines. So there is absolutely no place in the United States Navy where you will not find a woman serving today, and particularly in the very high technology fields of engineering, technology, and in the nuclear engineering field also.
In those front lines.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I need to talk some, I think, from the Marine Corps perspective and perhaps ground services, since we don't have an Army rep here today. I'm not sure we'll ever get away from the hand-to-hand combat. There will always be some up-close and personal combat, undoubtedly.
And particularly for the Marines, who tend to go in first.
Particularly, and so, but there are definitely roles that people, women and men of various kinds of capabilities can play. And I think that the way we're going is making sure that people are assigned based on their abilities, their strengths.
Yes.
That they can bring. And we need different people with different strengths to come together to form a team that can go in and fight and win and come home alive.
As you can see, women are serving in every single aspect of the military. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Ladies, this is our opportunity with an extensive audience watching, and they're primarily government contractors, to speak to the government contractors and say what you would want to do. And Carol, I know that your background includes extensive work heading up acquisition for the Marine Corps. What would you like to say to our government contractors watching today?
Well, I did have the privilege of working with government contractors in my acquisition experience. Sometimes I didn't always think of it as a privilege. And I think it is difficult to partner from the government side and the contractor side. And so relationships are important, building those relationships. Since I've retired, I've now been working on the contractor side and doing some consulting. And so I see it from the other perspective. And it's really been educational, actually, seeing it from both sides. So it's emphasizing, I think, that relationships are important, and that's why going to events is important, where you can rub elbows with the people who are in the military today who are making the decisions about the things you're trying to sell.
As somebody once said, there is no such thing as government procuring. It is an individual on the opposite side of you that is procuring. When you say it was difficult, though, what do you say is difficult? What are some of those problems, and how could we all work together to rectify them?
Well, there are a lot of rules in the government as far as when we can talk to people before this stage of the process or after that stage of the process. There are rules that you can do it now but not then, and so on. And so it becomes difficult when the lawyers get involved.
When the lawyers do it. Well, that's everything in life. That's on the commercial
Exactly.
side too.
Exactly.
Sally, what about you from the Coast Guard perspective? Because you also were in acquisition, right?
I would say that we first and foremost have to remember that our work is dangerous. Day in and day out, we don't know what we're going to encounter, whether it's conflict or in our peacetime mission, our law enforcement mission. So we have to have equipment that works well. Our contractors need to understand that they have to perform with excellence. They have to have systems that are going to do the job in time to keep our men and women safe. And I think there's no better way to understand the ethic and culture of the Coast Guard than for our contractors to be amongst us, to have that opportunity to talk to the women.
Or
and
be former Coast
understand-
Guard as well, and having been there on the front lines.
and to understand what we confront on a daily basis and why it's so important that they are doing their jobs so that we do our jobs and come home at the end of the day safe.
Safe, and it should be in the same
I
place.
think
Wilma.
there's another aspect of this too that we forget sometimes, particularly when we're on the military side, and that is, as women have taken increasingly challenging and technical jobs in the military, they're going to leave the military someday. And these women can become real candidates for jobs in industry.
That's true, yeah. That goes on what
And
Deborah was saying about
contractors
STEM.
ought
yeah.
to be very interested in making that bond of understanding who's working there, because they are a potential valuable member of their team, just as they have been valuable members of our team.
Like a resource pool for great talent
That's right.
afterwards, yeah. And Deborah, you were talking about that earlier, that there's a lot of technology, of course, all the STEM focuses now.
Exactly, and that comes to the talent management aspect
Yes.
that our contractors would be viewing, that we have women in the high technology field, whether it's the sciences, mathematics, or the human biology type aspects of military service. And so talent management, looking at those hard science areas and also the security clearances that women hold today are, I would think, a particularly valuable asset to contractors as they're looking at completing their talent management portfolio, so to speak.
That's an excellent point, Deborah, because there's a total dearth of those with security clearances. I know government contractors look for those. So, ladies, I just think that you've all served tremendously for our nation, and I know that our viewers are looking probably thinking, you know, it's wonderful that you have, and it's wonderful that it's finally being acknowledged. Any final thoughts in terms of, you've been doing what you have for many, many years, so have women. It's finally now being acknowledged. What do you look for the future when you say, what do we want more? Where are we going from here? Where are women going from here? Increasing roles? And
Oh, no doubt, it continues to evolve. And I think we are seeing more books being written about women and their service, especially in recent years, as far as the new roles that they've been playing. So there are more articles being written. The museums, the various museums, and certainly the Navy Memorial are putting the focus on how the
women.
role of
The
women has
spotlight.
changed
Yes.
and how women are contributing in a very real way. And as they can with contractors, as we've just been talking, they bring that knowledge of the service and of the mission to the contractor, because contractors who have that inside knowledge of what it is they really need, what is it that the service is really asking for, how do I really understand what they are asking for.
now they can recruit more women because they've got it there. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
it wasn't just me. There were a lot of
lot of
women
them.
in acquisition. It's not just a few of us. Yeah.
Well, one of the other things we can look forward to, we've had 2 women now achieve 4-star rank, both of them in the material area or the logistics area. I think we can look forward to seeing a woman make it on the operational side because of the experience they're gaining in the combat arena. So we've got that to look forward, and we can certainly look forward to the first 4-star Admiral in the Navy.
And,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
General in the Marine Corps.
Yes, and every
Right.
single one.
We
Yes.
need it.
Correct.
Well, we can have a general in the
A
Marine Corps,
4-star, right?
too.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, when we say
Deborah.
what are we looking forward to in the
The
future,
future.
it's really the year the military woman is inspiring, and what we're doing is we're inspiring those who follow us, and we see every day
Younger
younger women, more and more women, not just in the military, but this really transcends the military into the private sector, is that you see more and more women seeing the example, following the example, and you see the more senior women opening the door for women to follow through that door to higher heights in management and leadership positions. That's what the future really is.
Yes, what was it? I grew up in England, but I remember supposedly there was a boy who had grown up with Margaret Thatcher, who was in power for 12 years, and he once said to his mother, could a man ever be Prime Minister? Because it goes into the mind of little children like that. It really does. And in our country, there hasn't been, John Kerry is the first male Secretary of State after 3 female Secretaries of State. So you're right, it has an impact on young people.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you very much, ladies. I really appreciate, I know our audiences appreciate your unique insights, and thank you for your service as well, ladies. Thank you. I'm sure that our viewers have enjoyed hearing your views about the critical role that servicewomen have played and continue to play within our military service. And you are all truly an inspiration to us all. Again, I'd like to thank Brigadier General Wilma Vaught, Vice Admiral Sally Brice-O'Hara, Rear Admiral Deborah Loewer, and Lieutenant General Carol Mutter for taking the time from your busy schedules to join us today.
As you can see, these 4 women have done so much to pave the way for future generations of servicewomen, and we thank them for their service. Now let's meet Dan Shyti and hear what he has to say about the power of dynamic leadership. Good morning and welcome to our segment where we have a local expert. Joining us this morning is Dan Shyti. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Hillary.
Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dan has a background that does include the Army. It also includes work with government contractors, and he's now serving contractors. So maybe for our audience, you could give a little bit more about your background and what you're doing now.
Terrific. I started out, as you said, in the Army. I served 4 years. I came out of college as an ROTC cadet. They got me a great start in life with a scholarship, and it was wonderful serving my country. And then from there, I transitioned into industry. And for the past 26 years, I've been a federal contractor. And most recently, I did 7 years with L3 as a vice president. Business development roles, very familiar with the acquisition process.
Right, so then you're taking that now to acquisition and to selling, but also sort of leadership in that arena, I understand.
Correct. I've transitioned away from L3, and now I've started my own business and focusing on leadership. It's been a long-time passion of mine, and I'm basically dedicating my life now to teaching leadership and helping other emerging leaders mature.
Thank you. Power Leadership is a powerful title, and there are some powerful premises behind that. Dan, maybe you can share with our audience, what is powerful about 4-Power Leadership?
Well, it's the simplicity, and let me start first with a little setup background on the company. I started 4-Power Leadership as a training company and consulting company, and the primary things that I offer are seminars on leadership development. I'll do some one-on-one mentoring for special clients that ask me, and I'm also writing a book, which is due out this summer and nearing its final stages of completion. But the whole premise on 4-Power Leadership is to make things simple. And there was a famous guy named Leo who had a great quote that I like, that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
What do they call it? KISS? Keep it simple, stupid?
Exactly, yes. And incidentally, that was Leo da Vinci, not DiCaprio.
Okay, yeah.
So in any event, the keeping things simple, I boiled leadership down to 4 powers, hence the name. And that is poise, presence, performance, and persistence. These are the 4 major areas that every leader must focus on to be effective.
And when you say persistence, obviously that means a lot of tenacity and staying at it, I would think.
Absolutely.
And
Never
yes,
give up.
Never give in.
Ever
What is
give
it
up.
Churchill said? Never give in.
I love
The
Churchill.
three most important things about war: never give in,
never
give
surrender,
in,
yeah.
and never give in. Right.
Definitely. Yep, Churchill is definitely, I'm a big fan of Churchill, and he's one of those consummate leaders and orators also, somebody who's extremely inspirational. And I write about him in my book, in fact, that there were times when it seemed that all that stood between the Nazis and the British Isles was the sound of his voice.
That's right, that's exactly right. And also, actually, he came back because, talking about persistence, after Gallipoli, he was written off. I mean, you don't have very few, I can't actually name anyone who's had such a tragic failure. And everybody thought that they were over and done, but his persistence brought him back.
Certainly did.
Yeah. We all like to talk about winning, and Key Solutions, certainly the force behind this program, is all about winning government contracts for clients. No one really relishes talking much about failure, and we tend to have a rather visceral reaction to failure itself. However, as Dan is going to share with us, it's actually a great learning moment for those that are willing to analyze and those that want to learn and want to grow. Dan, I'd love for you to share with our audience what you see as the great takeaways from failures and how you use failure analyzation in your trainings.
Okay. Well, we certainly don't seek failure out as our teacher, but it is indeed a powerful teacher. And the reason is because we tend to analyze our failures a lot more intensely than we do our successes. We should analyze our success so we can be consciously competent of what it is that's working, right?
People tend to get more blasé about their successes, really. Yeah.
Exactly. But the failures are indeed powerful. And once we're analyzed, we need to basically put them away, right? We don't dwell on them and we don't let them weigh us down.
Not anguish on them. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Because life, there's always something ready to kick you, right? So don't kick yourself, just move on. But certainly use the failure as that powerful, teachable moment. And then great leaders are consummate learners. And they learn from the failures of others as well. So
and they admit to failures. I've noticed that a lot.
Absolutely, yes. And they commit to doing it better next time. So what I'd like to say is failure is that fuel that powers your engine of success. Just put it in the fuel tank and forget it.
And as Roosevelt said about he who has not failed has not been in the arena. So get in the arena, and as you said, dare greatly.
Yes, fail while daring greatly.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Dan. We're delighted to have had Dan Shyti with us.
Okay, my pleasure, Hillary. Thank you.
I hope that you've enjoyed today's program and that we've inspired you to visit the beautiful Navy Memorial right on Pennsylvania Avenue to enjoy their special exhibition on the Year of the Servicewoman. We also hope that you'll make it a point to visit us next week right here on Government Contracting Weekly.
You've been watching Government Contracting Weekly, sponsored each week by AOC Key Solutions Incorporated. Government Contracting Weekly is the only television program devoted exclusively to the competitive and dynamic world of government contracting. For additional information, comments, questions, or suggestions, please write us at governmentcontractingweekly.com.